Hello and welcome once again to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and joined with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
I'm in the jinx end of my arcane afterglow.
You're riding that high still. You're just coming on down, is it?
Yeah, I think I'll be alright.
I think you'll survive it. I think you'll be okay. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're a returning listener, then also welcome. Make sure that you're subscribed to us on your favourite podcasting app of choice. We have new episodes every single Wednesday, as well as bonus episodes every other weekend. Brian, have you got a trailer of the week for us before we get things going?
I got a teaser of the week, David.
Teaser, okay, what you got?
I got a little clip of Stitch kicking down sandcastles.
Okay, Lilo and Stitch. This is the live action remake.
Yeah, that originally was not going to be in theaters. Disney Plus Direct, baby. Go back and watch that TikTok we made.
This feels like a little bit of a trend, I suppose. Okay, I can see why you picked this for trailer of the week, along with our main discussion, which is Moana 2, but we'll get to that in a minute.
So actually, because there's a poster of Stitch with the coconut in his mouth.
There's a few different...
Yeah, it's like... unless they follow up on that poster with other Disney IP properties in Stitch appearing, invading their worlds, like what they did with the original one, where they did these little clips and teasers.
What do we have coming out between? We've Mufasa, the Lion King, and we've got Snow White. I think you could definitely see a Stitch poster with him being the one that's held up with the Lion King, and you could definitely see him as one of the seven dwarves or something like that invading. Just like the old ones.
The dwarves, yeah, maybe Stitch dancing with the dwarves, maybe. I don't know what else is coming out, but I like seeing it now in motion. Not more still images. We are seeing Stitch moving in a live environment with some people in the background. Just a little teaser. And what really gets me in this little teaser is the music they use at the end. Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. That song they use in the original is now used here, and that's a good sign that they're going to use great music from the original, might make new ones, and one step closer to seeing Stitch in that little Elvis costume.
I hope they put him in the little Elvis costume. I like Lilo and Stitch, and I think there's just something about him. I think he's been oversaturated right now, just in terms of like merchandise and stuff like that. Like I see him everywhere, but I can't.
Really?
Yeah, man. Have you stepped inside a Penny's recently?
No.
Everyone, like every single piece of clothing has Stitch on it. Stitch and the pink one, his girlfriend from like the TV show. But that
I don't like her. She was always a meanie.
Yeah, but that being said, I still, when I saw that teaser, I was like, oh yeah, Stitch is back. I like him, and he sounds exactly like him. It's the same
Chris Sanders.
Yeah, same voice actor, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
go watch his latest movie, The Wild Robot. He directed.
Oh, I didn't he directed that?
He directed that shit.
Okay. Well, the director of this is Dean Fleischer Camp, and he did a film that we talked about. We didn't talk about it much. We talked about it in one of our 2023, I think, the Oscar predictions.
Marcel Deschelles
with shoes on, and it's an incredible film. And so I think if he brings that like cuteness factor to Lilo and Stitch, then we're onto a winner. So I'm looking forward to that. But we're not here to talk about Lilo and Stitch. We're here to talk about another Disney property, which was also scheduled to come onto Disney Plus.
That's an interesting one, yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? So we're here to talk about Moana 2. And just before we get into things, just want to say this is going to be obviously full spoilers for Moana. So if you haven't already, make sure you watch Moana 2 and then come back to us. So Moana 2, for people that don't know, Moana 2 started out as a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, David, when we started our year, not knowing the fact that we were getting a Moana 2 by the end of it, we would have recounted our 2024 most anticipated list. We didn't include it because it was not a thing.
Was it announced as a TV show?
Oh yeah, way back in the Investors Day when they announced Turning Red, Lightyear.
Yeah. Oh really? That was that long ago?
That long ago. Wow. Back when they announced Shogun, Alien Earth TV show, and The Acolyte. Yeah, that's when the Moana Limited show was announced. Along with The Princess and the Frog, called Tiana's.
No sign of that.
No sign of that. Where the fuck's that? Excuse my French. Anywho, so where am I at? I'm after
it wasn't announced.
Yeah, it was announced. And then all of a sudden, I guess Disney didn't realise that they had nothing scheduled for the November release slate. Oh, what are we going to put there? Hey, let's take a look at what we got. oh, this Moana thing's not half bad. Throw a bit more money into it, heighten up the CGI, and get a compelling writer in there to hypen up the story. And we're gonna Toy Story 2 this shit.
Yeah.
So, okay, where do I am at on this? Moana 2 is not as impressive as Moana, but I would say it is impressive for what was originally conceived as a Disney Plus little show. And honestly, I honestly feel like this would have been like a 6-episode, 20-minute thing.
That's how I felt as well.
And you might get Dwayne Johnson in 2 episodes, one at the start, one at the end, for 2 scenes per episode.
I think you're right. I think when I went into this, I definitely was watching it like, I wonder, will this feel like 6 episodes of a show stitched together?
Yeah.
Will it feel like I can tell where the cuts are?
Yeah.
That's where episode 1 would have ended. That's where episode 2 would have ended. And I actually felt when I was watching it at the start, I felt like these cuts are very quick. I feel like this like, for example, her journey from the first island home, that would have been a full episode, and they've cut out time here. And then, but as the story progressed,
I think you're giving them too much credit.
No, I felt like that could have been a whole episode, just her journey home or something like that. And so it was like my mind was trying to create the cuts, like, okay, yeah, this has just become a montage. They're trying to, scale down the time or something like that.
Dial up, speed the process of her leaving the island she was on her own with. But why not have the pig and the chicken with her?
But as the film went on, that slowly melted away from me. I was no longer looking at it in terms of that this was a TV series, now a movie. It slowly faded away, and I was just watching the movie, which I was really glad of.
That's why I say it is impressive, because it blends together so well. It does feel like a movie.
And good, because it is.
Okay, but I still have a few issues with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say concerns, but I caught myself after the pronunciation of the C. No pun intended. Alright, so the plot is Moana has to find an island because the island connects currents to other tribes, and they gotta find it. Okay. She goes on and she has a crew. That feels like a TV aspect.
That did. I think when she came home and all of these other characters were getting like little slight character moments, I felt like, oh, they were intended to be part of the TV show and now we're losing them. But then all of a sudden they're on the journey with them, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought that this was going to be an aspect that you could see how it was a TV show.
Yeah.
And then they were cast kind of to the side. But no, she was able to expand the roster. It's not just her and Maui.
I think it's a natural thing as well with sequels. I don't think there's so much you can do with a Moana and Maui story. So, like, it was fine. I liked it. I actually liked the characters. I liked the little teenage girl. I liked the
inventor.
The inventor. The one who's able to fact check you on anything that you may be incorrect in. And I like that the strong one was the super fan of Maui, and they made the cranky old man quite likable as well. But, like, they didn't make him a caricature of a grumpy old man, like not being able to swim. It's just a little character moment for him and making a remark. And they didn't go too far with him, like, oh, he doesn't like to sing. I identify with that most of the time, not with the likes of Moana, because in Moana, I like every single song, that's it. And here, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself a little, but because I mentioned it, I didn't think many of the songs here were quite good. And only 3 stand out for the reasons. One, Dwayne Johnson's voice sang it. The second one was sung by the villain, or what I originally thought was going to be the villain, and her chorus was a standout in that performance. So I like that. And the third one was a retrack of the original one that was originally sung in the first one. So it's not really the best thing to say when the best song in this movie came from the original.
I think I agree with you. Okay, I think that the songs were a little lackluster.
Very much so. Like Moana's returning back home.
I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it, but I can't right now repeat it to you.
You're right.
And I can't repeat the one where she's getting all emotional and inspiration to leave her island and leave her sister and family and go off on an adventure. That's her. How far I'll go. moment here.
Beyond,
I cannot. Okay, it's called Beyond. I could not repeat that to you.
And I think that that's fair. I think that a main difference between this film and the original is the lack of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I think that's a really good example to use now as references in future, that someone who is not on screen can have a major absence.
Yeah, and I felt it. I think that as the songs were coming along, I was like, this is good, and I can tap my foot along, but nothing has the impact or making me the want to go back and listen to this. The Beyond songs are kind of How Far I'll Go this time around, while it was like the chorus of it was good, and you get a bit like,
the chorus is good
into it.
Same with Dwayne Johnson's whatever, Go On Moana, go. Can I go? I can't
even repeat it.
I can't even repeat it. But the only reason I would acknowledge it here today while recording this is because it came from Dwayne Johnson, and I remember Dwayne Johnson's song from the original, You're Welcome. Personally, my favourite.
Yeah.
When you can't walk out from the cinema, not immediately,
and you're humming along a song.
Yeah. When you can't immediately hum along to the chorus, at least, of each song or most of the songs, like I did for the original.
Yeah.
I did that when I was driving home. Got up Spotify or YouTube and started listening to a lot of them. I can't really do that here, and if I do, it's because I want to try and remember them.
It's not like it's an earworm that you can't get rid of. But I agree with you as well on the villain song, what appeared to be the villain song, the Get Lost song.
Matani. Was her name Matani?
I don't know. I didn't catch her name.
I thought it was
the Batwoman anyway.
I thought it was pronounced Menaji, but they pronounced it differently. So Matani, I think it is. I liked her flow.
I liked her flow and her course and
her appearance.
Like, there was a lot of points throughout with the songs that I'm like, this is good. I'm enjoying this. And there's no point where I'm going like, this is a bad song. Yeah. But there's no earworms. Like, specifically, like, when she's coming home, I quite enjoyed that song. The Beyond song, I like that. And, like, I think that they were really kind of fishing for my nostalgia as well, because one of the lines in it is I am Moana, which is one of my favourite lines in one of her previous songs. Yeah. Then there's a little bit where they're doing like the song on the boat to try get into the rhythm. And the inventor, she has a little rap verse. And I'm like, that was good. Maui song, I actually, right before he started singing, I was like, I wonder will he get a song this time? And then he literally went in. And you know what? When I don't know why, I was literally 30 seconds ahead of this movie for a lot of times, because right then I was like, I wonder will Maui get a song? And then he started a song and I was like, okay. Yeah. And then when she was going through the song and she was like, you know, it's kind of a training montage almost. Yeah. And she goes through it. She's
getting Moana to be on her side because Moana's very reluctant, because she's looking at her like we look at her as the villain. Someone who's mischievous, someone who would be...
No, I'm talking about in Maui song.
Oh, I thought when you said she...
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, no, in Maui song, when Moana is doing the training montage.
I got ahead of you, sorry.
You're right. When she was running through it, I literally went in my head, I think, Moana's probably my favourite Disney princess. And then literally he calls her princess and she goes, I'm not a princess. And he goes, yeah, everyone thinks you are though. And then they do a little like look to camera. Like the little Maui tattoo. And I was like, this movie's like, I'm literally like 30 seconds ahead of this. But they're calling me out, you know?
I heard you chuckle at that. And I was like, did David really think that was funny? And
it was my mind process where I'm going, I think Moana's probably my favourite princess. And then it's like, not a princess. I'm like, I didn't even say it out loud. But I
agree. It's perfect time for me to say it. Moana is my favourite princess as well.
I think so too. Yeah, whatever she is, the Wayfinder or whatever she is, she's my favourite of them. You know, whether it's princess or not. But there was just a lack of kind of that coming out of the cinema and having these memorable songs. Like, there's no song that I'm thinking I want to go back and listen to that. Yeah, you know, and even at the end, they do the reprise of the Song of the Ancestors.
We Know the Way.
We Know the Way. That's the one.
Except we have Auli Krolovucci, if that's you pronounce her name, and Dwayne Johnson do it as well. They record they do the lyrics. So that's the best song, and if we know that it's the best song because it's from the original. But while I got ahead of myself, excuse me, David, I'm just gonna call her the villain because she looked like
she was our surrogate, because we don't like, obviously it's similar to the original in that we find Moana is fighting a kind of godlike force, but we don't have that person, we don't have someone to specifically point at other than her. She is a person.
I suppose she is the placeholder here
Yeah.
for what... Who was the crab's name in the first one? No, not Tamatoa. Was it Tamatoa?
I don't know the crab's name.
The
shiny Jermaine Clement.
That's him. Guy. Yeah, that guy. Minati.
Yeah, I don't know.
Crazy Bat Lady was the placeholder here, except I like that she was revealed to not be the villain. She was trying to convince Moana to do things her way and get lost, and like how she was reluctant but then felt inspired and took her advice. She did the same with Maui in the original, and everything worked out for the better. I like that. And when everyone went on the way onto their adventure and she stayed there because she's stuck, I thought, okay, now she's going to say a line and that's going to reveal her agenda. I was like, no, she says Maui looks good.
Yeah, just happy to be, she's using, I suppose, Moana for her own gain also. But because she wants to be out of she's trapped within this, what is it, a clam or something like that. She's like trapped in this place anyway.
Yeah.
And she's using Moana to get out, but not for nefarious reasons.
Oh, no,
it is for her own gain, but not nefariously.
But they've established, in me personally speaking, that she's not going to escape to destroy human life or anything like that. She doesn't look like she's going to do any harm. But yeah, she's good. She look like she'll sell some toys.
That's what we're here for, really, isn't it?
That's it, man. I want some toys. I thought that my mind's on two parts. One with the clown, which felt very accidental and a standstill to the story, because
it's like we're no longer moving forward.
We need to get back to the ocean to follow that thing in the sky to keep going straight. When they come across the Kakamora, there's a retread of what we did in the first movie. A little bit different. They're shown to be more sympathetic and we can root for them. And we get a Kakamora character to join the crew. And I like that. I actually do like that. I like that he does a little salute. And
the warrior salute,
the warrior salute, and he sacrificed himself along with Moana and her crew to die. And cool, a little character description.
A little character moment, for a coconut.
Yeah, and I like how sometimes you cut back to that little coconut, and the coconut would just be sitting on some part of the boat, and he'd be like sharpening his weapons, and he would, when he would look dazed and confused, he'd lift up his little mask, his skull mask, and it's like, oh, I guess we are in trouble now, because he would immediately jump to shoot a dart at a monster, which he's done a few times.
He's the most capable warrior of the group other than Maui.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so I felt like now they corrected itself when they revealed that in this clam, this giant monster was the villain and Maui. So I guess
it serves a purpose.
It does.
It does definitely, because it's a story, like it's a road trip story.
This standstill should have stopped with the Kakamora, but they get trapped in the clam monster, and I thought, you're extending this standstill from the story quite too long. When are we going to get back to the sea and going straight and find this island? And how is Maui going to fit in all to this? It felt very, I'm trying to describe it as unnatural, but then someone would say that is unnatural but then it felt forced coincidence. What I'm trying to describe is that it's like they fell into the clam by no rigging of the villain's movement. It was pure accidental. They were trying to get away and get back on course, heading straight, following that star in the sky. And this standstill felt too long, even when the crew met Maui and had that little scene, and even when Moana met the villain. I'm not thinking about how they're going to get it. I'm thinking about how they're going to get away from this villain, because they've introduced the standstill of the Kakamora, then the standstill of being trapped in the monster, then the standstill of Moana meeting the villain face to face for the first time, who I know is not exactly the true villain. It felt too many standstills until we got back into course, and then they're floating in space.
I think
that's what I mean, not a compelling middle part of a story.
I think what the problem is that they ended up there accidentally, and then it worked out in their favour that they found Maui. But had they not have accidentally gone in there, we wouldn't have had Maui. Whereas if there had been a point where they are literally going somewhere to find some aspect for the journey.
Yeah.
And then they bump into Maui there, and he's been held there by the one. It's like, oh no, I needed you wait here so that she could find you.
But she had no rigging in that plan to get them inside the clan monster.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
so it was by pure coincidence, by pure chance that they all ended up together. Whereas if it had been we need to go here before we can continue. Like if the boat had been destroyed or something like that, and they needed to get somewhere to get provisions, or I don't even know what.
But you see, the fact that I'm feeling like I want to tell the creators of the movie, guys, can we like get back in getting the movie going, because I feel like like we're stuck here, we're at a standstill. When is the movie going to pick back up again in their journey? And
that's fair. I felt it too.
Yeah, and I'm not. That doesn't shine away from what I did like. Mitagi. I'm going to mispronounce her name the whole time.
Well, I mean, if you compare it directly with the first film as well, they did have to go to get Maui's hook.
Oh yeah,
and that does come to a little bit of a standstill.
Yeah,
but they needed to go.
Oh yeah, very much a solid purpose there. Oh, absolutely. Like where she had to leave her home to go to Maui, and then they work together, fighting off the Kakamora, served a purpose in much finer character details, and then fish hook scene next, and then a little montage next, and then after that, it was actually the ending. If you think about it, if it's a well-paced movie, the first Moana, and here, I felt like I was questioning, are you making the right choice here? Because towards the end, not to get ahead of myself, but it feels like major consequences are happening, and now the characters are at their most lowest point ever, and I'm going, do we have time for this? Yeah. Like, did we not have the low point when Maui was trying to cheer Moana up with his song?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That did feel like, you're right, actually. That's the point, that they are downtrodden and we're at a low point, and Moana does feel like she can't go on. Maui inspires her, and then we come back and they've rebuilt the boat.
Yeah.
And that's our up. But then we go an even lower down
beat. Now the first movie did that. But I was not thinking about the runtime. I was thinking about the runtime here, and like the consequences here are quite dire, with a certain character losing their ability to be the demigod that he is, and their vehicle literally being topside, and they're all just floating in the water while this evil ancient weather god is just castrating them into the depths of the ocean. And I'm going like, you guys need to pull up an island. How the hell are you going to accommodate the runtime for that?
I felt like the consequences were dire, but then afterwards there were no consequences.
Oh no, you can't have that.
But I think that it was really interesting to have Maui lose all his powers. He loses all his tattoos, and then immediately gains them all back again. Like there's no consequence. I thought what would have been actually quite interesting is he does get some of his tattoos back. He gets his little his little version of himself, and maybe a new tattoo of this journey. And he has, like, now that he's a blank canvas, who can, because he does have like the tattoos of how he stole Tafiti's heart and how and all this. I was like, okay, now he's a blank canvas to create a better story.
With every good deed he does, he gains a new tattoo. I like what you're suggesting there. Like, it would have been nice. Maui looks good without all his tats. I just thought that. I
actually thought he looked weird. I thought the opposite. I was like,
Would you be saying that had you not seen him first with all the tattoos?
Yeah, well, he looks weird because I've only seen him with the tattoos, and now all of a sudden he has none.
Yeah, but by all means, like, but it wasn't like a real takeout for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like Idris Elba without his trench coat when he was in Cats.
Okay, what a strange comparison.
Not a strange comparison
it's
at all.
It's just a strange reference to do Cats.
It's not, actually. I specifically remember when Idris Elba looked cool enough with his trench coat.
I guess we're talking about Cats now.
No, we're not. Back to Moana.
But you don't think, like, if he was that blank canvas, right, and he gets his little self back, and then he gets a tattoo, like, he gets a tattoo as she does. Yeah. And they have, like, a matching tattoo of this adventure or something like that.
I do agree with you.
It's, like, almost a, like, let's race, who can do the most deeds and who can get the most tattoos or something like that. That he sees it as like a competition, just like like one of those kind of brother sister, like, friendly competitions.
I would see that as like a little throwaway line, but I would agree with the blank canvas. It would be a nice thing, but like, I'm And you know what? It would be actually a nice thing because the consequences of losing all his tattoos would still be there.
Yeah.
He would have to still build up his reputation once again. It would be good.
I quite liked actually the relationship between Maui and Moana, and I think how it really evolved from the first movie, because the first movie has her obviously seeking him out.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do this without you, and they obviously form that bond then, and they complete the journey of the first film.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, Moana is completely by herself, and she does say like, "Oh, Maui, if you're out there, like we could use your help." You know? But it's not like we have to go find him again. And then even later on in the third act, there is that moment where she says, "No, we need to separate. We can't work together on this." Like, or not to those words.
You have your plan to do,
and we have ours.
Yeah,
and she completely kind of separates, and she says she's not like relying on him anymore, and they're two parts of the plan.
Yeah.
And I just liked that kind of, that they're still there for each other. He can inspire her.
Yeah.
And like that in the first movie, she inspires him, and they kind of have this symbiotic relationship where neither are dependent on each other, but they just work well together. They're a great team.
It is a great team, especially for a human to a demigod. I do like that. I like how they're continuing to evolve that. Like, Moana sets out in this journey without the intention of seeking out Maui whatsoever. No. She believes she's going to venture out and return without seeing Maui.
She doesn't know that the island is sunk.
No.
She's going to find the island.
Yeah.
It's only when she finds Maui that he reveals, oh yeah, it's a sunken island, you're never going to step on it.
Yeah.
And then that's when he becomes part of the journey.
But in the first one, Moana actually achieves her goal and saves the day without having Maui do it himself. Maui helps her, gives her some time, distracts the enemy while she does the deed. Same here again. Maui's trying to distract the monster at first, but then it's them who are trying to distract the monster while he goes to do the heavy duty deed. But they were supposed to do the true deed in touching the island, which she does in the end of this movie. So it's similar here again, that they don't be dependent on each other, but they do work well together.
Yeah.
And what I like here is that after Moana touched the island that's under the sea, and that when Moana came, that she got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
All right. Quite dangerous now.
Very dangerous, especially when it's in water.
Yeah. And so Maui comes to. His first thought isn't all his tats are gone and all his powers are gone.
No, it's her. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes straight into that water and goes together. And with the removal of the weather monster, his absence allows the ocean to return, and rather than them having to rush back up to the thing, because if you're a kid, you're going to hold your breath as well, as long as the characters on screen do. Don't tell me you didn't do that once before. And then
I died during Finding Nemo. I just I couldn't do it. I had to give up, man.
Yeah, man, I couldn't even make it past Avatar 2. So Kate Winslet did it.
Fair play to her, man.
I like that. I feel like we're talking about the ending so much, but actually getting into the other bits of the story. But here, I like this.
Well, it's just like I think the whole rest of the story is very much just like a road trip almost. Like, there's very few major events. I think we've talked about it. Like, the middle, like, was a lot of the sequences take place kind of in montage. Even the rhythm, when they're doing that little musical number of like getting in rhythm to work well as a crew. Honestly, there's a few different times where it cuts days. It goes through days,
Yeah. What way to speed up the process. But everything feels forced. Like, I don't know. Let me get back to what I was trying to say. I liked when Maui was there holding Moana and he was chanting to her, and then the ancestors come, and then her grandmother comes, all surrounded together, making that little Moana symbol.
Yeah.
And then that's what regenerates her and gives her little tattoo. Quite a cool tattoo, actually. I'm a little jealous. And then she gets her little oar, which is the equivalent to Maui's
I like
fish
that,
hook.
and I felt that throughout the film that they were really putting that emphasis on that oar.
Foreshadowing it.
And, well, I didn't even feel like it was foreshadowing. I just felt like it was
good foreshadowing.
Good foreshadowing.
Good
it's not
foreshadowing.
Like, where's my oar or anything like that. It was just always there, and she was just always using it. And I felt like it's Maui has his hook and she has her thing, because at no point throughout, and again, spoilers, the ending, this is the ending, at no point at all throughout did I think she's going to end up a demigod.
I thought that for a split second when she was getting the tattoos and that they were glowing yellow.
Well, when they glowed yellow, I thought, yeah, okay, that's her getting these powers now. But there was no point earlier on that I think she's going to become a demigod and her ore is her equivalent to the hook. I just kind of thought it as Maui is his hook, she has her ore. You know, as they both have a tool.
Yeah, they have their signature tool.
Yeah, and so it's good foreshadowing then, because once she became a demigod and that became her pathfinding tool, like she's able to look kind of at the currents and all, I was like, perfect. That makes absolute sense. Yeah. And you know what? When she became a demigod, I thought, good. She deserves that. She is good enough to be on the same level as Maui, and I'm glad that she is evolved.
Yeah.
You know.
Before we move on, what do you make of that little use of mobile phones in 2000 years joke?
I think I actually quite like that. I think that I'm not a huge Dwayne Johnson fan.
Yeah.
But I am as Maui. I like him as Maui, and like he could just like crack one-liners, and you know what? I actually forget it's him. You know, he can disappear into that role specifically. Everything else I see him in, he's The Rock. He is Dwayne Johnson. But in here, he's Maui.
Dwayne Johnson performing Maui is the equivalent of Samuel L. Jackson performing Frozone.
Yes, that's a great one. Yeah.
If not, it's more so. Because Frozone's got limited screen time.
Yeah, whereas Maui is the second
build character.
So when he does have those lines where he's cracking a joke, they're funny because they're funny lines. You know?
It is funny when in the first movie, I love my fans. You know, oh look, a fan. Here, I'm gonna carve my name, sign my name, a little heart. There you go. Maui's always got time for his fans, and here, his biggest super fan ever. He's like, oh, get away from me.
Yeah,
I like those little moments. I like he say, can I get a tea-hoo? Thinking he's cool. I like
he
those.
refers to the little girls as the Moana bees.
Yeah,
that's funny. Like
is.
They're funny lines.
Yeah. You know? While we're on the topic of Maui, when we saw him first in this movie, venturing into the storm and eventually being captured by Minaganani.
Manamana.
I told you I'm not going to remember her name.
Okay, yeah.
I felt like I shouldn't be seeing this. We should only see Maui through Moana's perspective. Unless it's a prologue or an epilogue.
It definitely felt like that scene was reminiscent of the flashback to when he stole the heart of Te Fiti.
But that's a prologue.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh no, don't tell me that this is, again, like that it's going to, Maui's up to his old tricks, you know.
Yeah.
And he's resorted back to these like hunting for glory, and he's going to cause the thing.
Well, the reason he was doing that, it was for the humans, because
he was going to raise the island.
Yeah.
They both had the same journey.
Yeah.
But separately,
you
know,
it was him doing the things for humans. It was never enough, which I wouldn't believe he would be doing those mischief again. But I felt like we should. This is too much exposure for us as an audience to see Maui. This is Moana. We need to see everything through her perspective. Yeah. We literally did in the first movie. I don't think, bar the prologue, that she's not on screen at all. She's in everything.
That's a fair point. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I think if it's not meant to be, I would rather see everything through her perspective. And that goes from forming her crew, getting separated, and being reintroduced to Maui yet again. We shouldn't, like, I get it, we know where Maui is when we see him and we see the crew, but at least we would see him through the crew's perspective, and we see their first time meeting him.
And so would you have preferred then to have the story play out as it was without the Maui scenes to begin with, and literally the first introduction is him there in that, you know, tied up sequence, and then he reveals what happened afterward, and we see it either in a flashback like the prologue or exactly how it was seen, or would you prefer to see it in the style of his tattoos?
I like those options.
Because don't forget, in early on in the film, when we do have obviously him coming in, that's when we're introduced to the antagonist, Muhammad.
We see great introducing aspects, right? The first time we see her a little hand touching Maui, but he doesn't realise it, and then she's sitting on his fish hook in the shadows like a bat. Great slight introductions, mysterious looks. So that's two extended scenes with Maui on his own, and so I would rather just retool it in a way where, if even we see, I don't know, I think I'm not going to write the script. I'm not going to create something from a movie that I've just watched.
Yeah.
I do like the option of we get a flashback through Maui's tattoos, or we see something like of a montage of him trying to do a good deed to continue his trend of redeeming himself, and this is how he gets caught in this situation. I think it would have been impactful, but then obviously you would have to change the tone. Don't do it humorously, make it a little bit more dire or scary.
Yeah.
I don't know, like add a bit of stakes to it. But without giving the solution, I'm just stuck with the critique of it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. But while we're on Maui, Dwayne Johnson, I couldn't help but feel like he's trying to boost his career by taking over the Moana franchise, by forcing the green light of the Moana live action film.
Yeah,
because he's
a little off topic for this. No, well, it's on the same topic, but I agree. I just think that we're so close to it that we don't need a live action version of this.
Yeah,
and I think that I just don't need that at all.
Yeah.
If anything, I know that we obviously talked about the live action Lilo and Stitch and how excited I am for it.
Yeah.
However, I would much rather see Moana 3 than live action Moana.
I don't know. See, because I went into this, I woke up in 2024 not realizing we were getting a Moana 2. I've always wanted one. We got one now. It didn't live up to the standard of the first one, and that was because this was conceived as a TV project, and because rather than going back to the drawing board from scratch, they repurposed it into a movie, constructed it well enough to be a theatrical release, did a decent job. I'd argue Toy Story 2 is a better movie, and that's probably my least favourite Toy Story film. But the fact that Toy Story 2 was conceived as a TV movie...
Was it?
Did you not know that?
No.
Oh, that's why I referenced it earlier in the episode.
Yeah, I was wondering why you referenced that. I didn't know that. Okay, that's interesting.
But
I can see a lot of comparisons to it as well, like with the extension of the cast, and that's just a normal sequel thing. But no, sorry, I interrupted you there. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm done with that. Like, I'm happy with Maui. He's great. I love Dwayne Johnson. You're Welcome's my favorite. We talked about the songs. None of them are as good as the first one. We talked about the villain, and that we can circle back to Moana towards the end as being one of the most drop dead gorgeous designs of what we should not believe to be a human, with those big eyes, and it's very not normal.
There's a real cuteness factor to that.
It very much cuteness factor,
and I think that extends to her sister as well. Like the two of them have a great little relationship, and there's just like a cuteness to them, and you love seeing them like just big sis, little sis.
The way they would extend their pronunciations of that, and they add a lot of emphasis on big sis. She's pushing people out of the way, and you don't know who's this big monster coming behind all these people. Creation of Moana's sister in this is one of the better things they did in this movie.
I liked her. I like that they gave her a reason to. Not that she didn't have a reason to return home,
but this was the grip for her.
Yeah, this is her taking home with her, because initially that was kind of her grandmother was the thing that kept her coming home.
Yeah,
and obviously she died, and then she died. Yeah, she died, and then
it doesn't mean you're not gone from the story.
Yeah, exactly. She obviously comes back as a ghost, but now she has another thing to bring her home. And what I like actually a lot is the evolution of her family as well. That she is, because obviously that first film, she's been told she is staying on the island and they're afraid to go out. Yeah. And now she's going on trips by herself, and her parents are very much like open. They anoint her as like a position higher than the chief. Like I can't remember the exact term for.
Oh, like, God! Don't even try.
But I'm glad that they were able to like accept that she is now. She is an explorer.
She's a strong woman,
She's a strong woman. But what I really liked about her, Moana, then, is, and it's a line in that first song, is, I'm back where I belong. Yeah. And even though she does go out and she explores the ocean, she is still coming home. Yeah. That it's not like, I think the fear of her parents was obviously the danger of the ocean, and if she were to go, she'd never come back. But freeing her up to allow her to do what she wants, she goes out and she does what she wants, and then she comes home. And people want to come home. People always do go home.
I'd argue that's a very healthy relationship to have.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad that the difference between it in the first film and this film was in such a healthy way. And like her dad specifically is like accepting her as the wayfinder and pushing her further into that journey, promoting her to a position higher than chief.
Good on Boba Fett.
Good on him. Yeah. Did he return for this one?
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, fair play.
Absolutely. He should have returned for the live action. He's not, but okay. On the grandmother's introduction from the little fish thing, the manta ray, is that what they are?
Yeah. I think it was a manta ray.
Yeah. Did you think that the scene structure or the editing or the pacing of Moana first spotting her grandmother coming, and then you cut to a wide shot, and then immediately she's in like ghost human form, and they're hugging, and fade immediately to them doing a little dancing.
Yeah.
I'm going, where is the cheapness here?
That did feel like maybe the TV series of like, okay, we can cut out some parts here. We can just trim down some time, you know?
But they could have trimmed it better.
Yeah, they could have. I felt like the opening shot, I don't know about you, but it faded from that Disney logo.
Yeah.
All of a sudden to the Moana symbol, but it was like Moana symbol, Moana. And I was like, whoa. That felt like we should have had time to like fade in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we were going to the island and it was like cutting, you know, to different stages towards the island. And I'm like, if this was...
I didn't mind that. That felt natural.
I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of quick edits just to trim down on time.
I felt like it was 3. I felt like it was 3 cuts.
It was, but that was like, I felt if that had been in the original movie, we would have just fully gone along right up to the island. You know, we see the expanse of the ocean almost.
Yeah, okay.
I think there are a lot of points where you can point out and say that looks like they were cutting down on time because it was a TV show to a movie.
Well, when you have a bowl of vanilla, chocolate and strawberry, obviously chocolate tastes the biscuit, right? That grandmother introduction, hugging Moana and then fade into that little dance in the middle of her song, which, by the way, she still has time to go up to the mountain, did the thing with the blowhorn and then go back down and continue finishing her chorus and getting on with the lyrics.
Too quick.
It's too quick. There's too many interruptions. Why are there so many standstills in this? I'm just saying that there were enough echoes of TV making in this that they could have done a better job to hide it and camouflage it, because they did a better job in covering the stitching where you would think the episodes would end.
Yeah.
This movie had 3 directors.
Wow. That makes sense. Yeah, if every director had 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then they're all brought on. So yeah, I can understand.
So that's what I've got to say for that. We mentioned briefly about the crew. That's all I've got to say briefly.
I think I think that they were good they were good additions. You know, I don't have much to say on them. However, I wasn't annoyed by any of them.
That's a good
But
thing.
I wasn't wowed by any of them either.
Yeah, when you're wowed, well, I don't know, like not everyone gets a speech, but
like I think honestly the person I liked the most, the newest introduction, was the coconut. Just because he felt like a bit of a...
I think he was the coolest.
Yeah.
But I think my favourite was the inventor.
Yeah. I'd say she's second.
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed this film a lot. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the first film, and I think when I came out of it, I thought that, and I thought it was specifically just down to the songs.
That's the thing, because when you go into a musical, right, most of the time I don't think I go into a Disney movie looking for the music to be great, because when you go into a musical, the songs have to push the film to your ranking, to your liking of it. Greatest Showman, anyone?
Yeah.
So that's what Moana is for me. Moana's my favourite musical, I think. Or Princess and the Frog. They're both Disney movies, just by coincidence. And when the songs here are not pushing it, I'm relying on the story. And the story's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad. It's not...
No, not at all. I don't think there's any point... there's no badness in the film at all. I think
it's just the high standard was so far up that ladder that you should have done a better job to restructure. Like, this movie was not announced when the year started.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the first film is so good and it sets such a high standard, both in story and characters and music, that when all of a sudden this changes from a TV series to a film, but without like going back to the drawing board, it's essentially the same story, and now we're either shortening it for time or lengthening it for time, whatever, you know, it may have been, we don't know. But I would have rather see this go back to the drawing board and come out summer of next year.
Yeah.
You know, and just spend a little bit more time on it. Just, even with the music, I think that the music really would have propelled it if it had just been an ounce better, you know.
Yeah.
But like that being said, while I'm listening to the songs, I'm enjoying them. They're good. It's just they're not earworms. And not every song can be, you know.
Well,
Going back to
I don't know. Every Moana song in the first one was,
but not for me. I don't think
that's fair. That's fair enough.
Shiny song. I don't like that shiny song.
I would have agreed with you had it not played around my ear 2 or 3 times for me to actually like it, because it's the type of song that, okay, it's a bit broken up, it's not catchy, or maybe it is catchy to some, it's not as hummy, like
the other ones,
like Maui's or Moana's couple, but nah, the shiny song I actually really like.
You're a defender.
I don't have to defend it. It's a great song.
Okay,
it's a great song, man. Not everyone's you. I didn't think the addition of multiple sea monsters in this was.
No, I didn't think anything of it.
But that's the thing. I didn't need it.
Especially because they're dispatched of straight away.
Especially when they're simple designs as well.
Yeah.
Like what monsters, right? Never mind sea to be getting the first one. Kakamora, and those are quite unique. We have the lava monster, which is the main opposing force, which is quite unique in its own right. And we got the crab. Yeah, god damn it. I remember his name in it.
No, that's Little Mermaid.
No, that's Little Mermaid, man. Get with the times.
Sorry, man.
But he was a character in his own right. He was a perfect, like, stand still to progress the story. So here, too many sea monsters, I think. I like that the father had grey hair. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, it does feel like a little bit older.
Yeah,
like, time has passed between these two films.
I'd say Moana's a young woman now.
Yeah,
she's not a 16-year-old.
No, she is.
She's like 21. She's legal at age to drink.
Yeah,
that's good.
She's a legal age to be a demigod.
I suppose you're right. That's all I have to say about Moana 2. Part of me was thinking, should we have talked about Moana 1 instead? Because I did hear some reviews were coming into this, and not that doing Moana 2 is going to oppose us from talking about the movie in its own right on a Wednesday waffle, but I think not too quickly, because it is one of my favourite Disney movies.
Yeah. Well, Brian, now that you mention it, we do have a bonus episode coming out this weekend where we talk about some of our favourite Disney movies, so maybe you get a chance to talk about it in there. Maybe
I already spoiled it.
maybe if it's in there. Have you got a recommendation before we let these people go?
I do have a recommendation, David. You go first.
I'm going to recommend Skeleton Crew. So risky recommendation, because when this comes out on Wednesday, it would have come out yesterday. As we record this on Monday, it comes out tomorrow. So hopefully it's good. But it's some new Star Wars. Whether it's good or bad, it's new Star Wars. So let's try it out. Let's see. So it seems like it's a Goonies style romp in space. You know, a couple of kids lost in space. Let's just see how we go. So I'm looking forward to it. And you know, if you're listening to this now, maybe it was good. We'll see. What about you? Have you got a recommendation?
I do have a recommendation, David. I am going to recommend Say Nothing.
Is this the Troubles show, is it?
'Tis indeed, David.
Yeah, one of the girls in work actually recommended this to me, so it is on my list. But yeah, you tell people why.
I'm after watching 3 episodes. I'm going to force myself to watch the next 3 and then the next 3 the following night. I do have a list on Letterboxd called The War for Independence and the Troubles. A great new addition about 2 sisters during the times of the Troubles in the late 50s going into the later 60s. But like how some Scorsese films don't explicitly showcase the time of years passing, I feel like Say Nothing does the same here, even though we have jump cuts into the future of some of these characters talking about their past with different actors playing them.
Okay, cool.
In the form of a journalist documenting their recordings.
Yeah, going back and getting their stories.
Yeah, so like I think this is similar in a way the Bike Riders movie did, where they had the author of the book in the movie. I have a feeling, I could be wrong, but a journalist in this show is the
writer of the show.
Yeah, getting the real life facts and events from the older characters, and we're seeing the on-screen drama and depiction of these events, and it feels like a documentary, but
it's not. It's a drama.
It's a drama.
Okay,
and it feels very compelling. The characters are great. You're following these 2 sisters who join the IRA because they feel like they are able to contribute major factors to the cause, and I think it's a great point to for anyone who wants to be educated on the Troubles in Ireland and what that all means. I think it's a great companion piece to watch with, before or after, another documentary show called Once Upon a Time in Northern Ireland. It really does work hand in hand. Cool. Honestly, I think there actually is one point specifically, a horrible moment, where they mention in the documentary that they're showing in the show. It's actually a major core element that they keep circling back to.
Yeah.
And it's very, very horrifying. It's a great depiction, and it feels a little American made, and that's a praise, because I have a feeling that American money is behind it, because the production value is quite good. Everything looks like a set, but it's not. It's all real. It's all there. It's all on screen. So I don't know how I feel about recommending a show about the Troubles in a Disney.
Moana 2.
In the Moana 2.
Just thinking that.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, so if you don't want to, maybe watch Arcane, where I'm feeling a theme here with two sisters, older, younger sister, getting together with the Troubles and Say Nothing and Arcane, and now here with Moana, two sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two sisters. Make sure to check out Bad Sisters.
Bad Sisters is another show that I'm watching on Apple TV. Yeah, there's 5 of them on that. Check out Bad Sisters as well.
Thank you so much, Brian, for joining me, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of Talking Pictures Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you are subscribed to us on your favourite podcasting app of choice, as well as following us on all of our social medias. They're down in the links below. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Blue Sky, we're on TikTok, we're on Letterboxd. You can follow us absolutely everywhere. If you haven't already, make sure that you give us 5 stars. You can leave a little review on your podcasting app of choice. Costs you nothing, gives us everything. It really helps promote the show. Another way that you can help us out is maybe just recommend it to a friend. If you have another friend that's into movies, TV shows, and you think that they'd enjoy this, just send it on to them. If you have a suggestion for any bonus episodes, make sure to send them into talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com. Like I said earlier, we've a bonus episode this coming weekend where we talk about some of our favourite Disney films, Disney animated films, so make sure that you check them out. If you enjoyed Moana 2, then you're going to enjoy that, as we talk about some of our top favourite ones. Brian, any final words before we let these people go?
I'm still not over. I need to express myself. Can we make some TikTok and shorts about Arcane?
Yes, we can. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, David.